Well, thank you so much for staying with us. Well, while we're talking about all of that goodies coming from Dangote refineries, let's have conversation this morning with Barrister Olufemi Ibiayo, who is a legal advisor, United Action Front of Civil Society. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, no doubt this whole conversation about the End Bad Governance protests is getting some kind of momentum with the arraignment yesterday of some people and all of those other allegations. Well, it would seem like some thought, hey, the statement is made, point taking, government has taken action, everyone is back to their tent, so Israel. But then this arraignment and then this whole conversation from government.
Yes, indeed. It's quite disturbing, I must say, because we all know that there's no smoke without fire, there's cause and effect. And I would have thought that at this time when it seems the fire has died down, the emotions of the people in their quest to have a better governance for themselves and to start to benefit from the dividends of democracy, I would have thought the main objective of government now would be to see how they can get the buy-in of the people into the governance process itself, and ensure that as much as possible they give an empathetic, attitude and commitment to the welfare of the people. I do not think that it's at this time that we should be seeing the body language or the message being passed that the people themselves are being prosecuted. There's some kind of revenge mania on the part of government. It's, in my view, I think that only further deepens or widens the chasm of disconnect between the people and their government. Because in the first instance, what had led to this whole issue was that the people were dissatisfied with the state of governance in their nation. And the constitution of this nation empowers government and in fact empowers the people to be part and parcel of governance. Section 14.2c, 14.2c of the Constitution ensures and encourages that the people themselves will have a say in their governance, will have a right to participate in the manner in which their government is run, and that responsibility is given to government to assure that that obligation and the rights of the people to participate in governance process itself is indeed secured. So when the people are actually having to go out to the streets or have been forced or dehumanized to have to go to the streets, to have to say, look, enough is enough. We are tired with the way governance is going. I should think that all that pressure points have now subsided. What government should be doing, every act of government should be seen to wanting to assuage the people, that it remains committed to wanting to meet those goals, meet those objectives of the people, but not to pass the body language or the inference that, oh, the people have been punished or need to be punished for even daring to want to exert their voices to demand good governance.
Is it everyone that protested that is being charged to court?
That is the whole thing. We all know that everybody in Nigeria expressed their views that, look, we are tired, we want good governance. And it's a legitimate request.
Yes, I'm just asking, because it wasn't just 10 people that protested.
Exactly.
Right? So everyone there's so many other people, hundreds of thousands of people protested all over the country. Yeah. So how come you think these 10 people are being prosecuted?
I think to me it's just vindictive.
Do you have any information as to whether or not they're guilty or they're innocent?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I don't hold that view that there's any guilt on the part of any Nigerian who had been forced to have to go out there and say to its own government that, look, we are dissatisfied with your performance, or we are dissatisfied with over 60 years of abysmal failure of governance. that were dissatisfied of being impoverished. So, and if those individuals, and you are talking of 10 people, are they to be sampled out, to be made scapegoats?
I'm just asking questions.
On behalf of Nigerians for exercising their rights to
because you also
rights?
know, Mr. Ibiayo,
yes,
both in 2020 and even in this current experience of NSAS and NBAD governance, there was a lot of arson, and the governments at various levels, they had records of all kinds of destructions that took place, various, federal government and state government properties that were destroyed. And even now, in this current experience, the pictures, the videos are all over the place of destruction of properties, to the point that some people even went and they stole the signpost of a police station somewhere in the north. So if, for instance, that the police arrests some of these people and prosecutes them, those who committed arson, is it out of place?
Well, it essentially will not be out of place, provided, again, we also look at what is the correlative duty of government itself in such situations. You see, so much emphasis has been placed on the part of the people in exercising their constitutional right to protest.
So we're coming there.
Yes, I understand. Yeah. But in answering your question, I think the relevant question we should be asking is, what has been the role of government in ensuring that, in giving necessary support to the people?
No, we are coming to the role of the government. I'm just asking if these people were legitimately caught committing arson.
Yes.
Is it out of place for the police in particular to prosecute them?
I think the question should be, why did the government or the police itself allow matters to degenerate to that level?
So,
by section 1 of the public orders.
But you really haven't answered my question.
I'm going to answer it. You see,
if you answer that question, we can follow up with others.
If you would allow me.
Okay.
Section 1 of the Public Order Act, 1979, imposes on the governor of each state, right, the obligation, the statutory obligation, to ensure that it provides adequate protection and support to the populace in their exercise of their constitutional rights to protest, by even as far as even regulating prescribing the routes they may take for their processions or their rallies, providing necessary care and support. Now, if this had been done adequately in a situation where we had a government that was sensitive to its responsibilities, there would have been no way those protests would have probably degenerated in some instances to what you are talking about. Because that's no way you would not expect that some very, very impoverished Nigerians who can't even really feed from day to day will see such situations as an opportunity to take advantage of certain situations. And when you really look at what you are talking about there, it's mainly to try and access food for survival that they were doing.
So stealing the signpost of a police station is to access food.
Stealing the what?
Signpost of a police station is to access food.
No, you see, you are mentioning.
No, I'm just asking because there is another one. That there are several others destroying infrastructure. In Kano for a digital.
That is true. That is true.
A digital facility for the people themselves.
You see,
and ransacking the place and stealing those things. Is it legit? I'm just asking.
It's not legitimate, but you see, like I said, now, if there is a national disaster, natural disaster, for instance, you would expect the emergency services agencies to swing into instant action to provide and protect life support systems for the people, right? That's what you expect from a reasonable government, right? Now, when you have a situation where your populace is dissatisfied, there has been pressure points that have built up over the years. People were really pushed to the wall and said, look, what is going on? Are we citizens or are we animals? Are we human beings? And so in such a situation, it should have behoved on government itself to have deployed all necessary support systems to ensure that the citizens can adequately, those who are genuine, and there were a majority of them that were genuine, not just those few deviant situations that are putting a coloration to the whole thing.
Okay. Now, there's something that you said that I think we should also pay attention. You said that government could have been able to prevent the breakdown of law and order the way it went. Do you remember what's the number one purpose or function of the Nigeria police?
Is to protect life and property and to ensure that there's law and order.
From what I found out,
Yeah.
the number one function of the police is to prevent crime.
Okay, that's also, yeah.
Good.
It's also implicit.
Now, you would also remember that in the build-up to this whole thing, before they announced, before the 1st of August, all shades of government officials came out and said, look, we're afraid that this might happen and that might happen, and consequently we want you to do it this way. If you don't do it this way, okay, how about this way? So one can say, would you agree that they try to prevent crime by making all those?
Obviously, okay. I would give a heads up to the Nigerian police in their efforts to sensitize the people.
Okay.
But then, like I said, emotions were very high in the Nigerian people. Okay. There was so much frustration that was patent in the process. It's only natural that we could see this sort of exigencies occur, whereby if some few deviants here and there would want to take advantage of the situation. But that, again, should be drawing the attention to the government agencies.
I agree with you, and I understand what you're saying. But you see, is pressure points that some people are having a good or sufficient reason to commit arson?
Of course not. We know that. But you see, please, we should not.
I'm asking. No, you're not allowing me to even go to the conversation that I want to hear. I just wanted to understand that.
There's no justification for
good.
arson.
Now, with that established, now, what should the various state governments be doing? Now, because those pressure points, one can say, they haven't really disappeared.
Exactly.
Those pressure points are still there.
Yeah.
A good number of people have been calling out state governors at various levels. To a large extent, everyone is talking about the president. Everyone is talking about the ministers. But hardly do we talk about the governors.
Exactly.
Way less the commissioners in the different states. What should be their roles in ensuring that we don't have another boil over? And SARS was just 2020, was just 4 years ago. What's to say that we're not going to have another boil over, so to speak, in another year or two from now? What do you think can be done to prevent any such boil over again, to the point that we now have a situation where we have more than just the 10 that we're talking about now?
I will tell you sincerely, it's right there in our constitution. If we can take it as an ideological principle that should govern or underlie what governance is all about and what government should be doing. You see, governance is not just something that should be divorced or excluded from the people itself. The people must be made to feel that they are part and parcel of governance itself.
In what way?
And that they can own governance.
In what way?
But as long as that disconnect is there.
Let's talk about, let's give the responsibilities to the people, where the responsibility of the people. In what ways can government and can the people fulfill Section 14 sub
C? I said, like, the participation of the people in their government shall be assured in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. There is a need to do that. An urgent need.
In what ways?
In many ways, my brother. Like, let me give you some examples. Now, the reactionary time. We could take for one, the reactionary time of governance to demands or complaints of the people. You would recall that there had been a build-up to this protest. Demands have been made here and there. Please tell me, if you were to score the current administration, and as a patriotic Nigerian, would you really feel a sense of patriotism, a sense of pride in your government, that they really indeed could be said to have responded to those cries when it was emanating and building up? They did nothing. They took no, in fact, they completely disregarded the people's, viewpoints and their clamor until it got to a point where a protest needed to be done. Why do we have to get to that point? Now, all those situations could have been managed by a responsive government who would have come to the fore, start to engage and address the people, let them start to understand what is the basis of their policies, and more importantly, see what they can do, even if it's in the interim, to assuage their feelings. In that way, you are creating and closing the gap of the disconnect between the populace and those who are in government. Now, again, if you look at what we're talking about now, these arraignments of a few Nigerians who have been singled out as scapegoats for people saying, look, I'm tired. I'm not getting anything out of this country. My life is completely impoverished. And then you now say, instead of trying to find ways and bring up policies to assuage that situation, you are showing the people that you still deal with them for even daring to raise their voice up to you. And do people in that such circumstances feel that they are part and parcel of this nation? Can they feel that they have a collective stake in this nation? That's why I said, if this government, and it can do it, it's very easy for government to do it, to start to bridge that gap and create a situation where the people can have a sense, even if it is a false sense, for goodness sake, give them at least the hope of a sense that they own this government, that you are there for them, and that you yourselves are working in tandem with them in moving the country forward.
Now, there's a question that I asked about what roles the states can play.
Yeah.
Because whenever we talk about government, all eyes on the federal government.
That's right.
But the states get an average. They have received an average of 1 trillion naira every month for quite some time now. And they have their own structures and systems. Perhaps there are those who would say, if the state governments had done what they needed to do, the federal government wouldn't look so much as a villain that it is.
Exactly.
So what is the role for those state governments?
In fact, enormous role, because they are at the level of governance that at least comes very, very close to the people. And I thank goodness we're just about to start seeing all over the nation now. The local government elections are about to commence here and there. How much sensitization are you seeing on the part of government to encourage the people to participate in that process? Even in the media space, there's a deliberate downplay of the need for the people to become, sensitive to the fact that the most important structure of government, which is the local government, is about to be created now with the Supreme Court's liberation of that system, to allow for them to have direct access and connection to governance in a more patent way. You are not seeing that level of orientation, that level of, of encouragement and education to the masses. Everything's been downplayed because the whole process is being planned as business as usual, to be truncated and taken off the hands of the people.
What proof do you have to that effect? Because if you've been watching channels television, there is hardly a day or a week we don't talk about
I must give you thumbs up for that.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that if you really look at the real space itself, the media space itself, I still believe there's still a lot more that needs to be done to ensure that the people have a sensitization to the fact that, look, you are about to have your own government and you have a right to have a say in it. Don't look towards the federal. Don't look towards the center. Look right now at those who are directly close to you and play your role now to ensure that you have the right people in place to provide the appropriate governance that you seek. And that is part of the important things that needs to be done. Now, if we can start getting the state governments to invest in this process, in that ideology, and not trying to, weaponize improvisation of the people, so that they are so preoccupied with existential living that they don't even have the time to even bother who is my councillor, who is going to even be my local government chairman. And if you were to pass a poll out right now to the people out there, you'll be surprised that the majority of Nigerians, due to their existential need to survive, and which is a deliberate, as I've said, it's a weaponized process by governance, current governance as you will see it, to keep people so preoccupied not to know what is of priority to them.
There are so many angles to this conversation, Mr. Ibiaya, and I'm almost certain that from time to time we're going to have to drag you in.
It will be my pleasure, my brother.
Thank you so much for your time this
Thank
morning.
you so much.
Olufemi Ibiaya is legal advisor, United Action Front of Civil Society. Thank you again for your time.
It's my pleasure being here. Thank you.